Here we are, Thoughts from the Office, Redneck's Pride Outdoors. Seems like these posts that I give on Gray Fox set a few people off. I don't know why, but it does. So I thought I'd do a quick little video, since it's easier to do a video than a post, on the differences between red fox and gray fox here in New Jersey anyway. Here in New Jersey, the gray fox in the South Jersey area is really rebounding well. We lost the gray fox for many years. At one time back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, at least 60% of my catch was gray foxes. We had foothold traps back in them days also. We had good gray fox populations when we started snaring in 1986. And I snared a lot of gray foxes in what we called perimeter or edge habitat, meaning where an overgrown field would butt up against a good briar patch woods or thick woods or thick swamps. I would snare a lot of gray foxes in those areas too. But when you got out into the traditional red fox open country, didn't catch a lot of gray foxes. Now, the only exception to that was orchards. I trapped back into both foot traps and snares, and orchards, both peach and apple, held a lot of gray fox along the perimeter, along the thick stuff. Now, when I'm saying along, I'm yes, you would get a gray fox that would venture out to a field 40, 50 yards or something like that. But they didn't predominantly stay there. They would shoot out, come back in. Even now, when you call a fox, a gray fox, and they're coming into a predator call in South Jersey here, they'll pop out of the thick stuff just to get a bearing, and then they shoot back into the thick stuff and come into you. Okay, so your red fox and your gray fox are two distinctly different animals that will venture into each other's territory. And where I get a little bit of pushback on some of the trappers is the old foothold trappers that used to catch the gray foxes along with the red foxes. And again, the reason that was simple. The predominant fox we had was gray. They were everywhere, and they would venture out into a field and get caught in a red fox set. But the majority of the time, when I targeted gray fox with the foot trap, I was right up against the thick stuff, or even in the thick stuff. Even back in those days, the 70s and the 80s, and the 90s, we lost our gray fox for a couple reasons. 1991, 92, the rabies moved in. And with the gray fox being somewhat of a social animal and living in a confined small area, I believe they was more susceptible to the rabies. Also, when we lost the foothold trap in 84, we couldn't use the foothold trap past 86. 86, we started using the cable restraint or the snare. The raccoon population exploded, and from 86 till about 1990-91, the raccoon population was just blown out of proportion like you can't believe. And what happens when you get large portions of raccoons? Distemper. And the gray fox is extremely sensitive, if you will, towards the distemper. They catch it very quickly, and it really works on them hard. So you're higher the coon population, the raccoon population, the more distemper you have, the more it plays on your gray fox. Okay, so we lost that gray fox from the 90s up till I don't know. I started seeing a little bit of a rebound probably about 7-8 years ago. In the last 5 years, I'm seeing a very strong rebound in South Jersey, in the typical gray fox habitat. Now, you old foot trappers, you go back to our trapping books of the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, okay? Those 40 years where everybody was writing books, there was, you saw every author that was a fox trapper. They knew what they was doing. They wrote the same thing. 2 different habitats. Both will venture in and out. Okay? But if you're targeting them, you target one in one, you target the other in the other. All right? So, let's look at the gray fox real quick, just fast. All right, the gray fox typically lives in a core area of about 500 to 600 acres. That's roughly a square mile. Okay, and but if the food source is low or not that great, they can extend out to 1,200 acres, roughly 2 square miles. And if the extreme and out west, I'm told more so than anything, out west, Texas or that sagebrush area, they can go up to 2,500 acres or 3,000 acres, which is 5 square miles. Okay. I don't know that for a fact. I don't believe our gray foxes here in New Jersey and our thick stuff range that far. I think they're going to be typically in that 1 square mile, maybe 2 square miles at the most in some areas. Okay, your gray fox also seems that the pups mature faster. And between 4 and 5 months old, by 6 months, those pups are hunting on their own. And I attribute that to the maturing faster because of the smaller area that they live in, that typically there's going to be a better food supply of the rodents, the birds, and that type of stuff. Plus, the factor is that the gray fox eats a ton of fruit, eats a ton of berries, is attracted to aquatics like frogs. They'll eat a fish that's been washed up. I imagine if they could catch a fish, they would. But they'll eat a dead fish if they find one. Grasshoppers, crickets, you name it, that gray fox, he eats everything and anything. They're extremely attracted to sweet baits. That's why I get so many pictures and videos, because of my deer stuff too has a sweet tendency with it. Matter of fact, if you put out mulberry essence, persimmon essence, honey, let's see what else, blueberry, blackberry, vanilla, oh man, banana. If you put any of those essence or extracts out, they will be attracted to it. You add a taste factor to that, and the gray fox will dig all day long. Okay? So the gray fox loves the thick briar patches, which South Jersey's for. The green briar or the gotchas, the blackberries, the raspberries that we have, some of them. We don't have that many raspberries like up north. The thick mountain laurel spots that butts up against a swamp or stream. Heavy grown over orchards and cow pastures that butt up against swamps and streams. These are the places that the gray fox thrive in. And them coming back up here in South Jersey, they're not at the populations that they're being pushed out into the open too much anymore. They do go out there again. They do go out there, but they're a different breed. They like to spend just inside the woods. Your red fox, wide open area. He loves the open areas. Now, he will go into those thick stuff, especially as the weather turns really cold. and really brutal to get out of the wind, to get out of the snow, get out of the, all that heavy, bad winter weather. They get in there. But for the most part, your red fox is your open country fox. Your open hardwoods, North Jersey, Central Jersey is predominant red fox. You have your hedgerows, which is thick, but it's only 40, 50 feet wide. Then it's surrounded by 100, 200, 300 acre fields. Your hardwoods that butts up to it is wide open. So the fox can hunt those little hedgerows, the little stream ditches, the little bottomlands, okay? And he can make it, he can survive pretty good. That's also why I think the coyote is a little harder on him. His short little legs, I don't think can outrun a coyote. And they compete for essentially the same food sources. Although red foxes do like sweets, especially in the springtime and summertime. They do like berries, they do like apples, they do like fruit, okay? They're mainly going to be now crickets, grasshoppers, mice, voles, shrews, rodents, rabbits, birds. Red foxes are extremely good at catching songbirds. So is the gray fox. The territory for a red fox in an open area is going to be minimum 2 square miles, which is roughly about 1,300 acres. Right on up to 3,000 acres, which is 5 square miles. So your typical red fox is going to live in, the majority of the time, 2 to 5 square miles. But red foxes can and will and have been known to travel 10, sometimes 15 plus miles. I've even heard of 20 and 30 miles where fox have been tagged and a week later caught 20 miles away. All right. So red foxes have a bigger territory. All right. And I believe the red fox has a bigger territory mainly because they're probably eating not only the rodents, but they're eating a lot of the small game that they got to really travel for. So with those two basic absolutes that you can't get away from, that's just habits. This is why I trap on habits and behaviors. I don't trap on this is what I do all the time. So when it comes to snaring for New Jersey, when it comes to snaring gray foxes, I have guys tell me there aren't no gray foxes around here, when I know for a fact there is because I got test sites in that spot, and I've got the gray foxes coming into the test site. Now I'm not like an idiot and tell them, oh, you're wrong, there's gray foxes in here. I keep my mouth shut. They ain't got to know that. And the reason they're not catching the grays on a regular basis, they may catch a gray here, yonder, and about, especially some of those open land grays can get quite big, okay? So a 7 and 7 will catch them in an open scenario. Why? Simple. The gray fox in an open edge set, woods meets field, you hang your snare there, you got your run. A bigger gray is going to be running howl on that edge, the same as the red. Head up or somewhat up. Okay, it's still going to be somewhat level, but it's going to be somewhat up. And they're going to be moving, typically they're going to be moving faster. Clip, 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 clip. Okay, where a gray fox inside that brush moves like this. Boom, 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 boom. Stop, stall, slow motion crawl, nitpick. I've watched gray foxes from a tree stand inside. They look just like a house cat. They come up to something, they step over it. They don't jump, they don't push. They step over it, they step through it. So when you get an average gray fox, it's going to be slightly shorter and a little bit smaller than the average red fox. Not all, but for the average. When he comes up to that 7-inch loop, 7 to 8 inches off the ground, and he's picking his way through the area, he's either going to duck underneath it or he will step through it because his legs aren't that much shorter than a red fox. So he'll pick it, or he'll hop through it, and he's agile enough to hop through it, and you never even knew he went through it. The good gray fox trappers at Target, and I'm going to have to target gray foxes. I was trying to get the numbers up, but I'm going to target. I'm going to target them this year. But the good snareman for gray fox is going to be a 5 to 6 inch loop, 6 to 7 inches off the ground, inside the thick area. What am I describing? Raccoon snaring. Raccoon snaring. Get along that swamp. I just posted that video up a few days ago of that gray fox sneaking right along the stream bank there, right on the coon trail. Now on that same location, I get foxes coming out because I got bait on that draw station, and they'll come out to that spot along with the raccoons. But when they're not interested in that draw station, they're not interested in that food, they're not interested in checking that thing out, they snake their way through the thick stuff. So as a red fox trapper, it's very hard to consistently target gray foxes because your brain tells you where the red foxes are at, but not where the grays. And I had a guy challenge me. I catch 100 red foxes a year. I know you do. How many grays did you caught? I caught 5. How come? They're not there. Well, yeah, they are, and I know for a fact they are because I might have them on camera. All right. So the whole ball game to this is this. In New Jersey, where our gray fox population is building back up, they're not at the point they was back in the 70s and the 80s, okay, where they was the predominant fox. You've got to treat them like a gray fox. And you'll be amazed when you catch the red fox in their sets. But you're missing a lot of gray fox when you try to catch them like you do your reds. All right, I'm going to close her down. I'm going to leave it here. Thoughts from the office. Redneck's Pride Outdoors. I'll talk to you later.